Good evening, everybody. My name is Jim Scanlon. I'm the superintendent of the Westchester Area School District. Thanks so much for coming out on a cold, snowy evening. I hope everybody had a chance to clear their driveways and sidewalks out there, or if you have a middle school child now. So that's a great way for them to learn about hard work. Get them out there, shovel some of that snow. It's good exercise. Get some fresh air into their lungs. So I hope you took advantage of their youth today. I know I did that with my middle school child. We're very happy to have you here this evening as we walk through Middle School 101. And this is really one of several key checkpoints for all of our students in their journey, their 13-year journey. We start with kindergarten. You can remember when your children were in kindergarten. It seems like yesterday, and how fast that goes, as that was 6 years ago already. Sixth grade is another time, one of those transition points. Ninth grade is one. And then our final transition point, and one that is extremely celebratory, is commencement day, when the kids graduate. So that's right around the corner. I know that the days are long, particularly with middle school children, but the years really do go fast. Tonight, you'll hear from some of our principals and assistant principals, counselors, and teachers to answer some of the questions. As we get into some of the breakout sessions, people will do some introductions as we get there. So let's get started. First, I'll do an anxiety check. Having a middle school child, and many of us presenting here tonight have children, have middle school children. And we know that no matter what we say as parents, they know more than us. And our teachers know that too. You have to be a special person to teach middle school children with all the adolescents. It's a time when kids are really trying to find themselves. It's important to be part of a team. It's important to be connected to the school or to a group that's part of the school. So it can be very anxious time for parents to see them grow up really fast. They go from that elementary years where there's a lot of communication back and forth. There's a lot of hand holding, and they get into middle school where they get into some different schedules, and we'll fill you in on what that schedule looks like in a few minutes. But they really do start to grow up. And it's amazing the growth that we see from the minute they walk into our schools as graduated fifth graders, and they head out truly full-blown, all-out middle school children all ready to learn and thrive. So it's okay to be a little bit anxious, but know that you have a lot of support in the schools and the buildings to help you if you have some questions about what this middle school experience is like. And if your children have any questions, there's a lot of people there to help along the way. So here's our philosophy. Our schools are rather large. We have three middle schools: Fugate, Stetson, and Pierce. And they're fairly large, 900 to 1,000 students in those schools. But what we do is we want to make that large school feel small. So kids are set up in teams of about 150 students on a team. There's 5 core teachers working on those teams. You have a math, you have English language arts, you have science, social studies, and a reading teacher. So the students will be circling through those, for the most part, those 5 teachers, along with some of the special area teachers that they'll get experiences with. So you hear about the Unified Arts program and how kids get different experiences. They're not full year courses, but they get a little taste of a lot of things in 6th grade, just to see where their interests might be. We also have a special education teacher assigned to each team for any of the parents whose children have an IEP. So we're carefully watching to make sure that we're meeting the needs of our special needs children as well. The curriculum is challenging. We are following the Pennsylvania state standards, but we also give a lot of attention to all of the children and help them along the way, especially in that 6th grade year as they're making that transition into the middle schools. We'll talk a little bit about the schedule tonight. And again, our focus is focusing on the entire development, social, emotional, and academic development of children. It's important to know that our teachers at the middle level especially teach the children while they're teaching the curriculum. And I think that's an important distinction because they are experts in their curriculum areas, but they're also experts at knowing children. And that's critically important, particularly in 6th grade. So here's a glimpse of what the middle school day looks like. Okay, that gives you a little bit of a sample. I will give a disclaimer that our videos that we're using are we built as how we built our middle school program pre-pandemic. And I'm hoping that if we show the videos pre-pandemic, this pandemic will soon be over and we can return back to somewhat of a normal schedule. The cafeterias are not that crowded this year. Obviously, we're following social distancing guidelines by the health department and the CDC, and kids are wearing masks, as are all of our staff. But I think it's important to know that the kind of program that we do have, we do offer, and we will get back to that program as well. So with that, I'm gonna turn it over to our assistant superintendent, Dr. Bob Sokolowski, take you through some of the curriculum pieces. Bob.
Thank you, Dr. Scanlon, and welcome everybody. My name is Bob Sokolowski, and as Dr. Scanlon said, I'm the assistant superintendent. As part of my responsibilities, one of the things that I look most forward to is the transition process for fifth graders into sixth grade. And I can say that just our teachers who are on tonight, our principals and assistant principals, this is just this is the official beginning to that transition process into middle school. And I understand that while you feel a lot of anxiety, we on our part, and we will share with you that we share a lot of excitement welcoming your children. We want to ensure a warm and welcoming entrance into middle school. And I can tell you that as the father of a junior in college, it does go really, really quick. And just on a side note, back in the day, I used to be a high school and middle school Latin teacher. And one of the things the levels that I most enjoyed teaching was level 1 at the middle school, because the kids just entered those classrooms with just so much excitement to learn a language, and to even learn a language such as Latin. So our curriculum, as Dr. Scanlon alluded to, we do have 5 core classes that students will have every day: the English, math, reading, science, and social studies. But then an integral part, really a key part of the middle school experience, is the Unified Art program. And as you can see, that students throughout the year, they will take an array of Unified Art courses. And to have these courses in conjunction with those core or major area classes, that's a big part of our middle school philosophy, because oftentimes it's in those Unified Arts that students really discover their passions. And it's where they begin to, hey, I enjoy this, and this is maybe something that I don't want to go in that direction. For middle schoolers coming into sixth grade, the Unified Art program is largely prescribed, but as you may have already received, the information for music next year, where students can either select classroom music or they can elect to be in one of the ensembles. And this looks really daunting, but this is a middle school schedule as it would appear in the parent portal, or students would view it by way of PowerSchool. And it looks pretty complicated, but I can tell you that our sixth graders master these schedules quite quickly. I can tell you from the parent perspective, you will receive the schedules well in advance of the start of the school year. And it's also going to be viewable electronically for you. But you can see every day students have their 5 core courses that you can see. There are 2 periods where they have their Unified Arts, and those are that integral part of the day, as I had mentioned earlier. But there is, and it can be a rotation by semester. It could be 2 out of the 6 days of a cycle that students would have a specific Unified Art. But as I said earlier, the students really do master these schedules quite quickly. So just a little bit of a pause as we are in the early part of our program for tonight, but just some key questions that we know are kind of frequently asked questions by parents. The first being, how do I help my child be successful with changing classes and different teachers? And what I can say here is that organization and communication is absolutely key for students. As I mentioned early, they will receive their schedules well before the start of the school year. We'll also talk about the orientation opportunities that students will have. We call them transition camps over the summer. And those are in-person experiences for students to get to know their teachers, to get to know their schools, to become familiar, as you see in the photo here, with their lockers. What are the homework expectations for sixth graders? A few years back, we did revise our homework policy and guidelines for elementary, middle, and high school. One thing I can tell you, we surveyed our students from 5th to 8th grade and also into high school. We found that our 5th graders were actually reporting that they were doing more homework than our 6th graders. So we understand that this is the time when students have different teachers to track assignments. Using the learning management system, Schoology, is certainly going to be helpful, but our teachers really strive to make sure that the homework has meaning and it's purposeful. Third question could be, how is grading completed? I'll share with you that the middle schoolers are graded on a quarterly system in comparison to elementary, which are in a trimester system. Students do receive letter and numerical grades based on a 10-point system. I'll assure parents that middle school grades do not go on a high school transcript, other than in occasions when students might be in 8th grade where they would take a high school course such as Algebra 2. And we certainly do not rank our middle schoolers. How do parent conferences work? Just like elementary, we will have that traditional time of the year around Thanksgiving when we offer parent conferences, but parents are certainly welcome to request a conference at any time during the year. Parent conferences are often with the teams of teachers that students are placed on for their core areas, and we'll talk about that in just a few minutes. But certainly access to our teachers is ongoing throughout the school year. Levels of instruction. So at the 5th grade level, what is occurring right now for math and for English, our 5th grade teachers are making recommendations for the rigor level placement. So if you look here, you can see our highest level for students is accelerated honors. So their students are moving at the most aggressive pace, and there's more self-directed learning. Whereas you look at the honors level, there's going to be more of a balance between self-directed and guided learning. And then at the grade level, we still grade level standards being taught to students, but they're going to be working in a way that's going to be more guided for the instruction in those classes. I'll share with parents that as students progress through middle school and into high school, what we see in Westchester, and we really are, a high achieving school district, we'll see most of our students, by the time they hit high school, where about 85% of our students will be at the honors level or higher. Many of our students, when they get to their junior and senior year, we'll see graduating classes where over 50% of our students are taking AP courses. So high expectations, but doing that with challenge, but challenge that is comforting and is supporting for students is part of the Westchester Area School District experience. We have high expectations for all of our students. So the team structure. So at each middle school in 6th grade, students will be assigned to a team. This is an important part of the middle school. It's one of the ways that we take a large school and we make it smaller. But this will consist of those 5 key or core area teachers, and they work together in support of student achievement, where they're going to be regularly throughout a week, where they discuss in team meetings student progress. They'll do some interdisciplinary planning. The team, as I mentioned earlier, will have a lot of communication with parents, and when requested, or when teachers may request it, to have team conferences with parents in support of students. So the team structure is an important difference between elementary school and middle school. Technology, and certainly technology has been a little too much of a part of our lives for about the last year, but students, upon entering middle school, they will receive a Dell laptop. This is our 4th year of being one-to-one for students 6th through 12th grade. Students will keep that laptop all the way through their middle school years, and then when they enter high school in 9th grade, they'll receive a new laptop. Our students over the past year, our middle school students have largely kept the same laptop that they had last year. And parents may ask how, in terms of the laptops and students being able to handle them, and do they break very often? I can tell you they come in very nice protective cases, and we really don't have a lot of breakage at the middle school level with our laptops. The students have done really, really well with them. And they are an important part of the instruction. I'll also say that our teachers are conscious of screen time. And so when students are in those classroom experiences on a day-to-day basis, we do emphasize a lot of collaboration between the students, where there's discussion, there's movement in the classroom. So I just wanted parents to know that when they get to school, laptops are a resource, but they are not the center of instruction. After school activities. I strongly encourage students as they enter middle school to get involved in at least one activity. There's just a lot of research, and I'm sure parents know, it's just one way to build a stronger connection to school. At the 6th grade level, we do not have interscholastic athletics. Interscholastic athletics in Pennsylvania begin at the grade 7 level, but we do have a lot of intramurals, as you can see, a variety of clubs. And then I also would say our schools are very social places where there are a lot of events and field trips, a lot of great experiences. I'll tell you, Dr. Scanlon and I will attend a lot of these events as well, because they're just so enjoyable, and so enjoyable to see the kids excited and working together. How do you find out about these activities? A lot of these things will come out by way of the school newsletters. They will be published on the school's websites. In terms of encouraging students to join. And a lot of communication just happens by way of the school announcements that happen every day at the start of homeroom. So transition camp, as I had talked about earlier, in just a few minutes, we're going to get into our breakout groups. But these are important times over the summer. And they're kind of at a midpoint to latter point in the summer, but certainly at the start of the school year, where groups of incoming 6th grade students will have an opportunity to have an experience where they're going to get to meet their teachers, they're going to become familiar with the school, but also because they're coming from 3 or 4 different elementary schools, we'll do a lot of team building experiences for the kids in these settings, in these transition camps. But when we get into our breakout rooms, our principals, our teachers will talk more specifically about our transition camps. So those were just some images that we saw of transition camp, specifically at Stetson a couple of years ago. And at this time, I would like to introduce Mrs. Carol DeMarco, who is one of our counselors from Pierce Middle School. And she's going to just share a little bit of insights for parents regarding the middle years and some of the things that you can expect from a parent perspective as far as pre-adolescence and adolescence. So Carol, thank you very much.
Thank you. Let me see. So are you hearing me now? Okay. Welcome everybody to this exciting time for your children. I just wanted to tell you a little bit about myself. My education is in psychology and social work and school counseling, but I also have been with the district for over 20 years now. And I have 3 of my own children who are now 25, 30, and 31 who went through the Westchester middle schools. I kind of had experience with all 3 since with redistricting, my kids went to Fugit and Stetson, and I've been working at Pierce. So I know for a fact that all 3 of the middle schools are fantastic, and you're in the right place, and it's going to be a great time for you. At this point in my presentation, when we're in person, I ask for some hands to be raised. I can't do that to find out how many of you are first-time middle school parents. You can be shaking your hands and raising your hands at home. I am going to assume that a lot of you are. So I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about some of the things that you're going to go through as a middle school parent. Every child's experience is unique, but there are some universal common threads and similarities. For the kids, some of the stuff that's on the screen is there. At this age, when you're 10, 11, 12 years old, you do want more independence. They're becoming. And that's why I like being a middle school counselor, because they're really right there. They're not the little kids anymore, but they're not fully the young adults. They're kind of right in the middle. They're finding their voices, which are sometimes you like that, sometimes you don't, because of the way they use their voices. But it is something that you want to have them be doing. As parents of emerging middle schoolers, you also have some things that are in common. One of those things being you have similar hopes and fears for your children. And I want to speak a little bit to the fears, especially if it's your first time coming to middle school. But in general, even if it's not your first child through, harken back to when you were in middle school. Just for a moment, kind of what images appear. Some of you will say that they were the great years. Most of you will be saying, I would not want to go back to middle school. If that is the case, I suggest you that's your baggage. So I just want you to make sure that you're checking that baggage at the door, because you want your children to have their own experience and not just a projection of what you went through in middle school. Things are different. Your kids are different than you are. And we are here to help your children have the best experiences possible. One of the best predictors of the quality of your child's middle school experience is their attitude when they're coming in, and your attitude when they're coming in, because they will pick up on all your anxiety and your fears for them. I'm not saying don't have them, because we all have that. The children do as well. Everybody here knows I came up with my own word. Everybody is going to be nervous, but also excited. That word I came up with is nervous-sighted. They're going to be nervous-sighted. You're going to be nervous-sighted. But the best way to set them up for success is for you to acknowledge their anxiety, but don't dwell on it, and to focus on those positives and their strengths. As I said, we are prepared for your children. Everybody that's in the middle school, as Dr. Scanlon said, it's a special person that works in a middle school. We know middle schoolers, and we know 6th graders, and we know what they need, and we're there to do that for them. What can you do to help in this transition between now and September? Communicate. Communication. When I'm saying that, I'm not saying lecture. The biggest part of communication that I hear from kids, what they want from their parents, is for them to listen. Listen to them and validate how they're feeling. Listen, and sometimes when you find yourself listening and then going into fix-it mode and really jumping in there and you see them glaze over because you're lecturing, that's your key to remember an acronym that will stand you in good stead. WAIT. WAIT. That stands for why am I talking? Why am I talking? You see that they're glazed over. They may just want you to listen. And I'm telling you that that's one of the biggest things kids say, that as I get older, my parents aren't listening to me. So please listen. The other thing is comes with what Dr. Sokolowski was saying, and a little bit of this goal setting, time management, organization, all those kinds of things is problem solving. That's all of those things are problem solving. This is a time, I don't advocate for middle school parents to just drop their kids totally, but it is a time when they want more independence. So the fixing for them, the rescuing of them can start weaning them off that now. You want them to be able to solve problems. You want to model for them of how you solve problems and even speak it through with them, talk it through with them. Wow, I had a problem at work and this happened and oh my goodness, and just kind of talk out loud. They are looking both in your communication style and your problem solving skills. They are learning that from you. And so please model good behaviors with that. I'll leave you with one last thing that I think can reframe your perspective on your newly emerging children who sometimes you don't even recognize. Very quickly, if you think of, I don't know if you remember Punnett squares from when you were in biology, but that's something they will teach you again. If you think of children waking up in the morning and at the top, some days they want to be adults. We'll put an A up there on your Punnett square. Some days they wake up and they want to be children. They're caught in the middle of those two worlds. And that's part of what you, I think, sometimes pull your hair out about, because I don't know who's waking up. Are they my child who wants to be the big person, or are they a person who's waking up and wanting to be my little baby? Down the side, think of when they wake up, some days you want them to be adults. You want them to be taking responsibility and doing all these things. But some days you're waking up and you want them to be your little Johnny or little Sam. You know, you want them to be a kid, right? Okay, so we have an A and a C up top and an A and a C down the bottom, or down the side. Well, if you put the days when they wake up wanting to be an adult and you want them to be an adult, you are having a good day. The days that they wake up wanting to be a child and you want them to be a child, oh, you're having a cuddly little day. This is a great day. But unfortunately, that leaves two of our squares in that Punnett square where they've woken up wanting to be an adult and you want them to be a child. You're going to conflict with them. Same as the other way around. They want to be a child, but you want them to be an adult. So unfortunately, with that Punnett square, you will see that 50% of the time you're not having a great day with your kids. And you might be shaking your head and going, oh, 50 would be nice. Well, but 50% of the time, the reason I say this to you, it's a great reframing for you to realize when you're not getting along with your child, or when things are kind of going awry for the day or the moment or whatever, step back and think in your head, is this one of those times that our expectations for each other are not right? I want them to be an adult, they want to be a child. I want them to be a child, they want to be an adult. Just a little tidbit that I've learned over all the years, both being a parent and it's amazing because even my 30-year-old, sometimes when I see him, he wants to be a child. I'm like, wait, you're 30. But so that's just something for you to keep in mind. And also, I just want to reiterate what we're all saying to you here. We are here for you. Reach out to the teachers, the principals, the counselors through this journey, especially if it's your first time. We know this world. You may not, and that's okay. That's why we're here. So welcome to the middle school years, and you will survive, and they will too. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Carol. And I would just share with parents, one of the key pieces that I can share in terms of decreasing anxiety is to just increase that communication. And that's what we as a school district, what Fugate, what Pierce, and what Stetson absolutely strive to do, is to make sure that we're communicating with parents, communicating with kids, so that we can be an absolute support and enjoy the success of all of our children.